So I'm gonna run you through one of the many ways you can program strength training for jiu-jitsu. I'm gonna do a quick full body session, some things to warm up quick, just some cable rotations, some stuff for the hamstrings, and then I wanna do some Jefferson isometrics because the lower back's a little bit stiff, but that you can change up for yourself. You don't even need to do a warm up if you're feeling good. And then normally I would do a bunch of plyometrics coming up and down this small space in the gym. That's what I program for a lot of people and we do a lot of. Today I'm gonna do something different to actually start. So you always wanna start your workouts with exercises that are faster, that are working on speed, that are working on rate of force development. And then after you've done that, you can do your main heavy lifting. So for example, normally that stuff for velocity and rate of force would be our plyometrics, but today I'm gonna change things up. I'm gonna make training really simple. I'm gonna set a 10-minute timer on my phone, and I'm just gonna play around with some Olympic lifts. So I'm just gonna play around with some hang cleans, some power cleans, and I'll move on to the main hinging, pushing, pulling, core, arm work, all of that stuff afterwards. I'll put a bit of a structure here of how the program's gonna look, and then you can skip along. This is gonna be a bit of a raw, unedited video, so I mean, if you wanna watch the whole thing slow, be my guest, but if not, I'll put timestamps around the bottom where you can see each part. So just some cable rotations here. First exercise of the day, nothing heavy, 36 kilos. It's too light for a row, but just to warm up, look, getting all that twist in the upper back. Feels really good to start every workout with this, really. 10 on each side. Something I've been playing around with a lot is just using the hamstring curl machine to warm up the legs before the actual heavy lifts. So again, nothing major. Just gonna jump on here, get an easy set. Something like anywhere between 10 and 15 reps really is fine. There we go. Just 10 to 15 reps. Get some blood flow in the legs before we're doing our main lifts. Not even counting. And then this little isometric is a great little warm up. I get a bit of a stiff lower back sometimes. I had a knee injury just over a year ago, partial quadricep tendon tear that created some issues in the glutes and lower back, and just warming it up like this, getting into a Jefferson curl position. You know, it's not a movement to be afraid of. This position right here, the Jefferson curl with the rounded spine, it's just something you need to do with the appropriate load. I'm quite strong in this position and I can curl, 60 kilos here. So this 20 kilo bar, this isometric here is nice and easy. But if it's something you're new to, just grab a 5-10 kilo dumbbell. Just great for getting a bit of blood flow in the back. I don't even have a timer again, just gonna roughly guess 30 seconds. Hold that there. My hamstrings are on fire right now. Oh, I can even feel, the shoulders loosening up a little bit. The rhomboids, mid-trap region. That'll do. All this programming that you're going to see has, I've learned, still am working with Charles Allen Price. This is a lot of what his Mat Strong program looks like for jiu-jitsu athletes, grapplers. You can get that program yourself. It will be somewhere in the description. There'll be a link there to get the program. I've got a discount code to check that out. I'm just going to work a bit of the spinal extension just to finish off this warm-up. So I'm going to get into a bridge position with the feet elevated, if the dog lets me. Feet elevated, getting up to this position and just holding here. It's a bit easier with your feet up. It's quite a lot of... For me, the spinal extension's easy. For some people, it will be challenging. For me, it's actually the upper body. Right now, the subscapular region is absolutely on fire. So if I had my feet on the floor, it would be even more difficult. So I'm just going to hold this for a little bit. Oh, that'll do. Oh, sorry, mate. Right here, I've just put on a 10, well, I don't know why it's 10 minutes and 20 seconds, but 10-minute timer. I'm just going to play around with some power cleans. know what? I'm using the power bar right here, the powerlifting bar. Very aggressive knurling on the thighs. But I'm too lazy now to switch. Swap, switch. I'm too lazy to switch is the word, to the other barbell. So I'm just gonna firm some rough skin over here, charge it to the game, keep going. Right, there's the timer, that's 10 minutes. Didn't worry about sets, reps, anything, just played around, okay? Let's get on to compound lifts. For my main lift, I was gonna do a deadlift. Lower back still feeling, not pain or anything, just a little bit tight from jiu-jitsu and stuff, so I'm gonna do some Romanian deadlifts instead. If you're watching this, just do deadlifts or some similar variation. And I'm gonna pair that with toes to bar, so just a core variation. That's the core I wanna do today, but you can do anything, you know, that's just the kind of thing I'm gonna do. 3 working sets, Romanians, 3 working sets, toes to bar. I'm electing to use the metal 20 kilo plates here, even though I have bumpers closer, because I'm sure, as you know, although they're both 20 kilo plates, metal is heavier than rubber, right? So I guess it makes it heavier. So I'm gonna stick to the metal plates. Oh, little 80 kgs on the bar. Nice and easy. Easy. So if you don't have a gymnastics wall like this, not a very common piece of equipment for a commercial gym, unlikely to see it, but you can just use a normal pull-up bar, but you won't have the back support. Doing full reps like this, it's quite difficult for 10 reps, so I'm gonna do negatives where I go up and then control that negative. As you can see, the dog's not happy about it. Oh. 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 No idea how many that was, but felt difficult. 120 on the bar, so for me, this is heavy. For other people, they're super strong. This is nothing. I've got the straps now because I want to focus on, you know, putting load into my hamstrings here, squeezing the glutes at the top and really bracing properly throughout the whole of this set, you know. So the straps are going to eliminate a bit of the stress of if my grip is going to fail. Let's see if we can get a 6 with this weight. Let's go. That's sort of what a top set should look like. I don't know what that was in RPE, who cares? It was kind of hard, right? That's what matters. So upper body, I'm gonna hit some barbell bench press. And I was planning to do some weighted pull-ups. My goal this year, one of my goals this year is 30 unbroken bodyweight pull-ups, but my lats are a little bit fried from this week, so I'm gonna switch it up and do some seal rows. And again, I'm gonna hit 3 working sets of each. So that's what you're gonna see now. This is just a great way, one of the many great ways to program lifting for combat sports, but really, this is something I hammer on about all the time, but this is how, you'd wanna program for really any contact sport. If you watch the best rugby players, they're all hitting very similar things, they're hitting deadlifts, they're hitting plyometrics, they're hitting bench presses, overhead presses, pull-ups, they're doing single leg work. And you're gonna see NFL athletes doing that. You're gonna see MMA athletes doing that. You see boxers doing that. If you look at, honestly, the best of anyone, John Jones, literally, if you pick any top athlete, it's very likely that they actually have very similar lifting programs, because what we're doing is GPP, general physical preparation. You don't need to be doing sport-specific exercises, I'm alone, but if I fail, I've got a spot. Hopefully the dog saves me. Whew. Big set. Grateful for that. Woo. Oh, grateful for that set. You got to be grateful for what you have, I think it's very easy, especially growing up in England, the British mindset is very pessimistic. So you're kind of brought up that way in school, everyone around you. The Brits are very pessimistic. So it's important to stop and kind of say what you're grateful for, One of my favorite collegiate wrestlers ever, Nick Soriano, 2-time NCAA champ. He's an interesting character, definitely. There's some good YouTube videos on him. But he posts on his Instagram, check out his Instagram on his stories. He just posts all the time, these gratitude lists, what he's grateful for. And that definitely put me in a habit of not writing it down, but being mindful of what I'm grateful for. Here right now, I'm in a private studio. I'm grateful for that, that I get to lift, I get to film this. I'm grateful that I get to do strength and conditioning 7 days a week as my job, I'm happy that I'm busy. I'm grateful, for the weights. I'm grateful for the floor. I'm grateful for the dog. I'm grateful for the camera, and I'm grateful for the room, It could be more than that, but it's important to say those things out loud, list them out. Try and tell myself to complain less and state my gratitude more. Chuck some 5s on here. We'll stick to 8 reps. God will steer, but you must row. And I don't know whoever said that, if that was metaphorically, but right now, that's pretty literally, You wish for the gains, but without rows, there are no gains. Got some thick calluses on here. God will steer, but right now, I must row. I started with my hinge movement, right? My deadlift variation was meant to be a deadlift, did Romanian instead. So I'm gonna do the antagonist now in that same leg movement. I'm gonna make sure I get a good quad stimulus, and I'm gonna get the scraggling muscle group, the shoulders after this. So I'm gonna superset some leg extension, some sets of 10, pair that with some alternating shoulder press, 3 sets each. Let's get it. Oh, too easy, we're going up for the next one. And let's get straight into shoulder presses, do it in one take. Boom, let's spin that around. Keep recording. Start nice and light. We'll work our way, actually now. We're ready, we've hit the bench press. Get up here, alternator. I'll do 8 on each side. That's how we do it. Nice and light, we'll go up for the next one. I'm gonna hit 3 sets each of that. I don't think you wanna watch that. I'm gonna hit, after that I'm gonna do some guns, which I will show you. Oh, let's go straight into it. Very important when you're lifting and when you finish your workout, when you hit arms at the end, you know, roll the sleeves up, get the guns out, feel it a little bit. I'm sure it's good for mind-muscle connection, like the old school guys used to say. Let's get some heavy cross-body going on over here. Oh. Come on. Okay. Something I've been doing with the finish, with the accessories, you know, it can be boring to hit your accessories at the end. So instead of hitting 3 sets, like you saw with those arms, I'm doing 2 sets, but to failure, you know? The form might be a bit sloppy, but I don't really care. I'm just trying to chase the pump. I want 2 sets close to failure. It's gonna be quicker, and to be honest, probably a bit more effective than hitting 3 sets. No one cares about RPE when you're doing bicep curls, man. Just take it to failure. Like, you're not gonna build up systemic fatigue from biceps. I get it for your deadlifts, but other than that, leave the notebook at home. Stop overcomplicating it so much, you know, just stick to the basics. I'm gonna do another set now. I won't show you because it's probably, the video's getting a bit long, but it's been exactly an hour now. With this next set will be an hour, 5 minutes. And I've been faffing around with the camera, which has probably added a few minutes. So, you know, that's what you can do in an hour. Again, Charles Allen Price and I programming. Check out the description for the Match Strong monthly program. Less than £30 a month. Use my discount code. You'll get it even cheaper, something like £26 or £25 a month, to do exactly what the top jiu-jitsu athletes are doing. So don't miss out on it. new YouTube channel, so subscribe, let's get it. Good stuff. Give me a spud. Pull. Good man.